Ladies, today let me say with you something real quick. You're sitting there thinking, he ain't calling me back. He didn't text me today. What changed? But what if I told you nothing's wrong? What if I told you he's not ignoring you, he's feeling you? He's not pulling away because he's losing interest. He's pulling back because he's losing control, and that scares him. See, when a man starts to fall for a woman, it's not a straight path. It's not fireworks and smooth lines like in the movies. It's confusion, hesitation, silence. Because deep emotion, real emotion, shakes something inside. Him he's not used to facing. Men are taught to build, to conquer, to protect, but they're rarely taught to feel. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's exactly what happens here. He's being pulled by feelings he doesn't fully understand, emotions rising from a place he's spent years ignoring. When a man starts to genuinely care, those unconscious parts wake up. Suddenly he's vulnerable, and that vulnerability feels like losing ground. You see, most men walk through life wearing armor, thick, silent, unbreakable. They don't take it off easily, because behind that armor are wounds, doubts, and old memories of being misunderstood. When he meets a woman who touches something real inside him, that armor starts to crack. And instead of running toward her, sometimes he steps back, trying to patch himself before he's fully seen. That's why silence can be so confusing. You think he's pulling away, but what's really happening is internal conflict. His mind says, stay in control. His heart says, let her in. And when those two voices start to clash, the quiet begins. That quiet isn't emptiness, it's noise. A storm of thoughts he doesn't yet know how to voice. You text him, and he reads it 3 times before answering. You notice him slower to respond, less talkative, more distant. But behind that stillness, something powerful is happening. He's processing emotions he's never been taught to process. Carl Jung said something else. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. For a man, love can hurt. Not because love itself is painful, but because it exposes the parts of him he's kept hidden. Every feeling that love awakens is tied to an old fear. Fear of being hurt again. Fear of not being enough. Fear of losing control. When he starts catching real feelings, he's no longer the hunter. He becomes human. And that transition for many men is terrifying. So when you feel him growing quiet, don't rush to fill the silence. Don't chase. Don't assume the worst. Sometimes silence is not rejection, it's reflection. It's him sitting alone, asking himself, what is this I'm feeling? He's remembering your laugh, your patience, the way your eyes lingered when he said something vulnerable. And he's realizing this isn't casual anymore. This is deep, and deep requires courage. You see, when a man has lived his life managing everything, his work, his image, his responsibilities, love introduces something he can't. Control, you, the way you make him feel, the way you disarm him without trying. And for the first time, his logic starts losing ground to emotion. He's not used to that. So instead of running forward, he pauses. He pulls back, not because he's lost interest, but because he's afraid of losing himself. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff. The view is breathtaking, but the drop is terrifying. That's what falling in love feels like. For a man who's not ready for how real it's getting, he's not running from you. He's standing there, staring over that edge, trying to convince himself he can trust the fall. Jung once said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. And when a man feels love stirring something deep inside, that's exactly what he faces, his own soul. He can't hide behind charm or control anymore. You see through it. You reach the part of him he doesn't show anyone. And that's what makes him hesitate. So his silence, it's not absence. It's his soul whispering, can I really let this woman see me? Here's what most people misunderstand. A man's retreat isn't always rejection, it's reorganization. He's rearranging his emotions, testing his strength against the weight of love. Because love for him is no small thing. It's surrender. And that surrender doesn't come easily. He needs to know it's safe. He needs to know that if he steps forward, if he lets you in, you won't weaponize his openness. He's not testing you to play games. He's testing reality to see if this connection is solid enough to hold him. So when you notice him pull back, breathe. Don't chase. Hold your ground in peace. Your calmness in that moment tells him everything he needs to know. It says, you're safe to feel. I won't punish your silence. That kind of energy, steady, patient, grounded, draws him closer than any words could. Because to a man trying to process love, safety is the most attractive thing in the world. And when he feels that safety, he starts to return, not rushed, not dramatic, but sure. That's when the texts start again. The eye contact lingers longer. The tone softens. Because he's no longer fighting his feelings. He's accepting them. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." That's the transformation happening inside him. He's awakening, not to fantasy, but to truth. And that truth is simple. You've touched something real. So, if you're wondering why he went quiet, remember this. Silence doesn't always mean goodbye. Sometimes it means, I'm becoming ready. Sometimes it means the man you're waiting for isn't running from you. He's just learning how to meet you, not with his mask, but with his heart. Because love doesn't just ask a man to give, it asks him to be seen. And that's the scariest, most beautiful part of all. So now he's quiet. The messages slow down. The calls don't come as often. You start replaying every moment, every word, wondering what shifted. But let me tell you something important. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening, just not out loud. When a man starts to fall deeply, his instinct isn't always to speak, it's to retreat. That retreat isn't punishment, it's protection. It's him trying to catch up emotionally with what his heart already knows. See, men often love in silence before they ever say a word. They observe, they analyze, they test the safety of what they're feeling. You may not realize it, but while you're sitting there wondering why he's quiet, he's somewhere thinking about you. He's thinking about how your energy makes him feel safe and uneasy at the same time. He's asking himself questions he's never had to ask before. Can I trust her with the parts of me I've kept hidden? Can I let her see the man I really am, not just the one I show the world? That internal dialogue is what causes distance. It's like his soul takes a deep breath before deciding whether to leap. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed, and that's what's happening now. Transformation. His silence isn't a wall, it's a reaction. Something inside him is shifting, melting, awakening. You've touched a part of him he didn't even know needed warmth. But transformation doesn't happen smoothly. It stirs up fear, and that fear can make even the strongest man withdraw. When a man who's used to control starts to feel, it shakes the very foundation he stands on. He's been trained to lead, to plan, to manage life with logic. But love defies logic. It's unpredictable. It's vulnerable. It requires surrender. That surrender can feel like weakness to a man who's spent his life being strong. He's been told not to cry, not to show pain, not to need anyone. But love exposes that lie. Love makes him realize he does need. He needs connection. He needs to be seen. He needs to be held not for what he does, but for who he is. And that realization terrifies him. So instead of speaking it, he steps back. He might take longer to reply. He might cancel plans, saying he's busy. But what he's really doing is retreating into thought, into emotion, into self-reflection. He's asking himself, if I let her in, will she see my scars and still stay? Most men don't say those words aloud. They feel them. That's why his actions seem mixed. He'll pull back one moment, then check in the next. He'll go quiet, then suddenly reach out. It's not inconsistency. It's emotional conflict. His heart is ahead of his mind. You see, when a man starts to fall for real, he doesn't just question you, he questions himself. Can I be the man she deserves? Am I enough? Those doubts don't come from pride. They come from sincerity. He doesn't want to fail at something that finally feels meaningful. Carl Jung once wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." That's exactly where he is, in that awakening. The silence you're hearing is the sound of a man looking inward, Now, from the outside, it looks like distance. From the inside, it's preparation. He's getting ready, not to leave, but to love you properly, to show up fully, to make sure he's not bringing brokenness into something beautiful. And that's where patience becomes power. When a woman can remain calm during a man's pause, when she can sit in that space without reacting, something incredible happens. She communicates safety without saying a word. She shows she's not going to punish his process or pressure his heart. And that right there, that calm presence, is what draws him back stronger than before. Men don't fall for the woman who chases their silence. They fall for the woman who understands it. The woman who senses that his quiet is not the absence of feeling, but the proof of it. Because only something real can make a man go still. So when he steps back, don't rush in to fill the gap. Let him breathe. Let him process. Because in that breath, he's making one of the biggest decisions of his emotional life, and to keep protecting himself or to let love in. And when he chooses love, you'll see it. It won't come with big speeches or poetic words. It'll come through small shifts, a softer tone, a more intentional touch, a deeper gaze. He'll start doing things that speak louder than anything he could say. That's the language of a man learning to love. It's quiet. It's careful. It's consistent. You may notice he starts paying attention to the details. How you take your coffee, what makes you smile, how you react when he opens up. These small things mean everything to him because they help him gauge safety. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that's what love invites a man to do, become. Not perform, not pretend, but be. And sometimes, before he can become that man, he has to face everything inside that tells him he can't. So if he's distant, don't see it as disinterest. See it as depth. Because what's happening in his silence is growth. Slow, invisible, but real. He's not ignoring you. He's evolving for you. And that evolution takes time. It's not instant. It's not linear. It's messy, human, and beautiful. Remember this. Men don't fall in love the way movies show. They don't announce it with grand gestures first. They fall in moments of reflection. When they realize that someone's presence feels like peace. When silence with her feels safer than conversation with anyone else. So the next time you feel him withdraw, don't panic. Let the silence speak. It's saying more than you think. It's saying something real is happening here. I just need a moment to catch up to it. Because when a man truly falls, he doesn't fall fast. He falls forever. When the silence begins to fade, something subtle changes. He starts reappearing, not with grand gestures, not with a long apology or poetic text, but with quiet consistency. He starts showing up again, softer this time, more intentional. That's how men truly speak when words fail them, through behavior. You see, when a man begins to understand what he's feeling, his fear starts turning into focus. The space he created wasn't a wall, it was a workshop. In that silence, he's been building clarity. He's been asking himself, what do I want to do with this? Am I ready to handle something this real? And when he finally steps forward again, it's because he's decided the answer is yes. Carl Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. That's exactly what he's learning. Love isn't just about accepting someone else. It's about facing the parts of yourself that love exposes. When a man starts falling for you, he has to confront his insecurities, his past mistakes, and the old wounds he's tried to bury under pride and control. That's why it takes him time. Because before he can love you right, he has to face himself. When he comes back, pay attention. He won't come with the same energy he left with. He'll be quieter but more grounded. You'll notice he's not trying to impress you as much as he's trying to understand you. That shift from performance to presence is a sign that the emotional awakening has begun. He starts showing up in small, meaningful ways. Maybe it's how he listens now, not just hearing but absorbing every word. Maybe it's how he remembers details you never thought he noticed. Or maybe it's how he looks at you differently, not with desire, but with recognition. Like he's seeing something sacred and doesn't want to break it. That's love in motion, slow, steady, intentional. And here's something most people miss. When a man truly starts caring, He doesn't talk about feelings as much as he demonstrates them. He'll fix things that aren't broken. He'll make plans just to make you smile. He'll protect your peace without you asking. Those are his love letters, written in action instead of words. But here's the twist. That transformation isn't just about you. You've become the mirror that's helping him see himself. You've become the reflection that shows him what he could be if he chose. Vulnerability over fear. Carl Jung believed that relationships are mirrors of the soul. He said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That means love isn't just two hearts meeting. It's two consciousnesses awakening each other. Your patience reflects his chaos. Your calmness exposes his fear. Your strength calls out his growth. That's why your energy matters more than your words. When you stay grounded through his silence, you teach him that love doesn't have to be chaos. You show him that peace doesn't mean boredom, that safety doesn't mean control. And that lesson rewires something deep in him. Men fall in love not when they feel chased, but when they feel understood. When they realize they don't have to perform to be accepted. That's what your steady presence gives him. Permission to exhale. And once he exhales, once he realizes you're not here to compete with his silence, but to coexist with it, he starts to relax into the connection. That's when his guard lowers. That's when he starts to trust that what's growing between you isn't fragile. You'll notice he starts opening up, maybe not all at once, but piece by piece. He might tell you about something that hurt him years ago, something he never told anyone. He might reveal the story behind one of his scars, or the dream he stopped believing in. When a man begins to share his past, understand, that's not small talk. That's sacred ground. He's inviting you into the chambers of his inner world, a place most people never get to see. That's the point where distance turns into depth, where silence turns into connection. Because love doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it's the quiet click of two souls learning to understand each other's language. He's learning that love doesn't mean losing himself. It means finding a safer version of himself within someone else's acceptance. And that's what makes him stay. See, a man might be drawn to beauty, to charm, to energy, but he stays for peace. Peace doesn't mean perfection. It means safety. It means being seen without judgment. It means knowing that silence doesn't scare you. That space doesn't make you insecure. That peace tells him something he's never heard before. You don't have to run anymore. That's when everything begins to change. His texts become more intentional. His presence becomes more consistent. He doesn't just show up when it's convenient. He starts showing up because he wants to. He's not avoiding emotion anymore. He's choosing it. He starts inviting you into his plans. He starts talking about things that include we instead of me. That's how you'll know the silence did its work. It transformed him. And what's beautiful is that you didn't have to push him there. You simply allowed him to evolve in his own rhythm. Because love that's forced doesn't last. But love that grows through understanding, patience, and reflection, that love transforms both people involved. When he starts showing that consistency, remember, it's not about perfection. He's still learning how to express feelings that used to scare him. He may stumble, he may go quiet again sometimes, but each time he'll return faster. Each time he'll open a little more. Because once a man has experienced the safety of real love, the kind that doesn't chase or punish, the kind that simply is, he can never unsee it. He can never forget the woman who made him feel that peace. You've become his calm, his mirror, his awakening. And love, when it reaches that level, stops being a game of control. It becomes a partnership of growth. When a man finally understands what he's feeling, everything begins to shift. Not in loud, dramatic ways, but in subtle, powerful ones. The silence that once felt confusing becomes a rhythm. A sign that he's not just reacting anymore, but choosing to love with awareness. Choosing to show up not out of fear, but out of intention. He doesn't need to prove himself now. He's done pretending, done performing. Because real love doesn't require an audience. It only requires presence. And when a man reaches this level of emotional awareness, his love becomes something steady, quiet devotion. That's when you'll feel it. more than you'll hear it. You'll feel it in the way he reaches for your hand without thinking, in the way he listens when you speak, not to reply, but to understand, in the way he stands next to you, as if the world could fall apart and he'd still be right there. That's love without fear, love without confusion, love that's no longer hiding. And here's the beauty of it. That same man who once pulled away, who went silent because his feelings scared him, now stands in that same silence with peace. Because he's learned something profound. Love isn't losing control. It's trusting it. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That's what he's done. He's faced the darkness, the fear of vulnerability, the anxiety of being seen, the old wounds that told him love was danger. And through you, he's realized that love isn't darkness. Love is light revealed through darkness. That's what changes a man. That's what matures his love. He starts to protect you differently, not out of possession, but out of reverence. He doesn't just want you to feel wanted. He wants you to feel safe. Safe to be emotional, safe to be quiet, safe to be imperfect. Because he knows how much that safety means. He had to earn it himself. And in this stage, his love becomes less about words and more about energy. Less about what he says, and more about what he is when he's with you. You'll notice the calm in his voice, the consistency in his actions, the peace in his presence. That's not by accident. That's what healing looks like when a man has faced his emotional truth. Now, if you're watching this or listening to this right now, I want you to pause and really take this in. When a man pulls away, don't rush to fill the silence. That silence might be the space he needs to grow into the kind of love that lasts. Most people don't realize that patience is part of love's language, that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is nothing. Just hold the space with peace, without demanding answers, without reacting to fear, because the right person won't disappear. They'll come back ready, and when he does, you'll see the transformation. He'll begin to include you in his vision. Not because he needs to, but because he wants to. He'll start saying we instead of I. He'll start building life with you, instead of just moments around you. That's the shift from connection to commitment. It won't always be perfect. He'll still have quiet days. He'll still go inward sometimes. But you'll know the difference now. You'll recognize the silence not as distance, but as reflection. A sign that he's processing, not pulling away. And in return, your patience becomes his anchor. The two of you create a rhythm. His thoughtfulness and your understanding, his strength and your peace. That balance becomes the foundation of something real. Because real love isn't about constant excitement. It's about constant growth. Carl Jung believed that true love is a process of individuation. Two people becoming more whole through one another. He said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. That transformation, that slow, deep alchemy is what makes love last beyond attraction, beyond infatuation. It's what turns chemistry into commitment. So if you're in that stage right now, where a man's silence feels like confusion, take heart. It may not be the end. It might just be the transformation before the beginning. Because here's the truth. Men who truly love don't always say it right away. They become it. They show it in how they return, in how they adjust, in how they begin to let their guard down, little by little, because you've shown them it's safe to do so. And that's rare. That's precious. That's something worth waiting for. When a man loves you with quiet devotion, he's not loud about it. But you'll see it in everything he does, the way he checks in on you, the way he defends you even when you're not around, the way he tries to fix what hurts you even when he doesn't know how. That's love in its mature form. Not fireworks, but firelight. Not chaos, but calm. He'll stop running from emotions and start standing in them. And you'll realize something powerful. The man who once feared losing control now finds peace in surrendering to love. That's growth. That's healing. That's connection at its highest form. And maybe, just maybe, That's the kind of love you've been waiting for all along. Not the loud kind that burns fast, but the quiet one that burns forever. So if this message spoke to you, if it helped you understand something deeper about how men love, how silence can mean more than absence, and how patience can open the door to something real, then make sure you stay connected. Because I've got more truths, more insights, and more conversations just like this one. The kind that heal hearts and open eyes. Subscribe right now. Hit that button, turn on notifications, and join this journey of self-awareness, relationships, and real connection. Every week we dive deep, not into games, not into manipulation, but into understanding. Because understanding changes everything. It changes how you love, how you wait, how you grow, and how you show up for yourself and others. So, if you've ever felt confused by someone's silence, if you've ever wondered what's really happening in a man's heart when he starts to pull away, if you've ever wanted to understand love, not just feel it, this is your place. Subscribe now, stay tuned, and remember this truth. A man who goes silent might just be learning how to love you the right way. And sometimes, silence isn't the end of the story. It's the pause before something real begins. So breathe, trust, and let love find its way in its own rhythm. Because when it's real, it always does.